A big conversation actually that's happened over the years is why the AFL doesn't go into private ownership. A lot of commentary has come across talking about saying that we're too small of a country, we can't have private ownership, we're this, we're that, our population is not big enough, we don't have enough millionaires, billionaires who would buy AFL clubs as alternative assets without throwing their kitchen sink at them, and feeling the financial impact if that club did not do well in the short term and long term. Like in other countries, billionaires are buying these sporting teams, and whether the team does well or not well, it doesn't, it's not detrimental to their day to day. They're pretty much alternative assets. One of the whispers that's been going around town is that the GWS has some interest from potential American owners, potential high-flying Americans who share some interest in our game and are looking to get involved with the GWS Giants, something that you know very well of, Mr. Sheehan, like you've done in the past. You're breaking news once again.
Yeah, that's right, Ahmed. And let's not detract from the amount of wealth this gentleman has. He was a former US White House advisor. His name is Mark Seidner. He's a US-based billionaire. And we can reveal on Raw Sports today that he was out watching the Sydney Swans and GWS Giants game Saturday night. His interest has come back to the point where I think he potentially may make another offer along with his PIMCO executives to buy the team. I can tell you that on Sunday, where the team gathered to watch Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, where we'll talk about a little bit later, the Giants team gathered along with their CEO and Seidner. And I asked somebody who was present at this function why Mark Seidner was actually back in Sydney, and they said, we hope to buy the team, which is huge news, Ahmed. Should it be back on the agenda with the AFL, and will the AFL allow it to happen?
I think it won't. I think the AFL has the model of a nanny state. They have to be in control of everything. If they're in control of logos and assets that these clubs have that they can't even monetize on without giving them some sort of percentage, I find it very hard to believe that they're going to let American owners come in and start buying up AFL clubs. No matter how much of a burden the Giants have been on the actual AFL, because that will set a precedence, and American billionaires are looking for sporting assets around the world to purchase. Just look at the Premier League, look at the Italian Serie A, look at the German Bundesliga. All around the world, American billionaires are looking to buy alternative assets, sporting teams, which are going up in value all around the world, except in this country, because the leagues have such a stranglehold on these teams, and they determine whether they grow or whether they sink or swim.
That's a really good assertion from you, and it's actually a very interesting one, considering how it could affect the future, but positively or negatively, on not only the Giants, but other teams within the AFL.
So the way I look at it is this way. How come the AFL hasn't invested in international expansion like it has invested in local expansion?
They have.
They haven't, because let me tell you why. They went to China, right? They went to, I think they've had one game in the States, or they were going to, and they said that they were going to set up this academy in LA to start, picking up all this talent from the US, which has multiple sporting layers for talent to come through. Now, did that happen?
No, they played, I think, New Zealand, China. I think there was an exhibition game in the United States.
Okay, but did the academy happen?
No, it did not.
Okay, so this is my problem with this. Okay, you have the NFL selling out stadiums in Germany, in England, and other emerging markets that they've targeted. In Germany, there was a request of 1 million tickets for the NFL game. The stadium only fit 90,000 people, right? So it's taken the NFL a long time to do this, but they've invested in the European Football League, right? Which is the NFL in Europe. They've invested in all these other markets, allocating teams to different markets around the world. Like the LA Rams is allocated to Australia. Other teams allocated to the UK, to Germany, to all these different markets around the world. Now, where has that happened? We've gone and played exhibition games in these different countries, and then we've just gone, nah, that's enough, too costly, too expensive. Meanwhile, in the Sunshine State, we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a team that's never played finals, right? Which
it's in the Gold Coast.
Yeah. So I'm not against that, but if you really want to be something of value and an asset to the world, like we can't. We have to get out of our little bubble. I get it's the Australian game. We started AFLX. We cancelled it the next year. It created a lot of excitement, buzz, hype. Year one, people were interested. Maybe they didn't do what they thought it's going to do, but who cancels something after 1 year, right? So, moral of the story, that model could have been taken elsewhere around the world. The game could have been adjusted for those markets, and then these leagues could have started. There's so many expats in these different countries that you could be a part of this. Now, the problem is they're playing these games. I was in Boston one day, and I see a group of Aussies kicking around the show, and I went and spoke to them. What are you doing? Well, we're all professors, students, professionals from Australia. There was like 50, 60 of them. So, moral of the story is we need to put our big boy pants on, right? We need to get rid of our insecurities and start operating with the world, and not just being these nanny leagues that have control over every single step, like the rest of the world has.
I totally agree with you. Now, I've actually seen a secret document from a board member from an AFL club who has put a 10-point plan together, which he intends to deliver to the AFL executive. And one of these, well, actually two of these, is to play a home and away game in Hawaii at least once a month over the home and away season. Now, I know people might turn around and say, well, Hawaii's 10 hours away. What about the jet lag, et cetera, et cetera? Now, to combat this, he's suggesting the AFL should invest in 1 or 2 private jets and fly 2 teams over there at least once a month to play in Hawaii, which is not part of mainland America, but it's still part of the USA.
Why?
To build the.
Why Hawaii? Why not go to Los Angeles where there's thousands of Aussies?
Because Los Angeles is 15 hours away.
Who cares? You got a private jet. Once you're in there, what's an extra flight? It's actually 13 and a half hours away from here, right? I've done that trip many times over. Why wouldn't you go to one of the 5th biggest economy in the world, which is Los Angeles, which is California? The heart of Los Angeles got Aussies everywhere, okay?
Yeah.
And they have circles of friends around them. Why not think that way? Why not go to LA? Why not invite the Aussies, invite their circles of friends with them? Think of the network effect that could occur here. Why wouldn't we do this?
Well, I think, I'm not saying why wouldn't you, but I'm thinking that to begin with, why wouldn't you trial a few home games in Hawaii,
because
which is closer to this?
It's dead. It's dead there. There's nobody there. There's no.
No, but it's a huge economy. They may not have a lot of locals, but they've got a huge tourist economy from Japan, Korea, China, Australia, Fiji, the Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, and mainland America.
Again, mainland America, LA. Imagine taking a team to LA, having them go to the Hollywood sign, do a whole PR campaign, PR release. The Australians have arrived, right? The biggest football league in Australia, the iconic Santa Monica Beach, Venice Beach, have activities there, have a presence there. That's the hub of LA, right there, right? Go do all the PR with all the networks, ESPN, Fox. They're all there. They're all there. They're all a stone throw away.
Yeah, but I think it's good in theory. But I think if you are going to do a PR campaign, like you and I have just discussed about going to Los Angeles, rather than, yes, I think, having 22 players at the Hollywood sign or Santa Monica is great for a one-off, but you need the players to become part of the culture, to be part of the soul of Los Angeles, rather than just doing 3 days of PR, which is fantastic, but then it dissipates because that team will leave and another team will come in, or that team won't come back for another 6 to 8 weeks or months. I think you need to become part of that culture. Now, I'm not saying base an Australian team there, but have a continuance whereby the Los Angeles people get an affiliation with who they are and the colours and how the game is constructed and the celebrities and the profiles of people who are going there.
There's Australian cafes all over LA, literally.
That there are. I've lived there myself.
Literally.
I agree with you.
Literally. And we're not saying take a team there. What we're saying is that use this as an opportunity to every year host a game there, but build the infrastructure around a local league starting there, because there's so many of us there that will drag others into the game from the local Americans and so on. Yeah. That's how I would personally do it. Is here we are. We take our feature game every year there. We can play at the LA Rams Stadium, SoFi Stadium, an amazing new stadium. LA Rams can do the same, come back and play here because they're trying to target the Australian market. So it works for us and it works for them. Then you start working on setting up local leagues in LA. Americans have some of the most talented athletes in the world because of their 3-tier sporting system: high school, college, and then pro, the pro leagues. They're all set up from day one. You go through this system. The college league is bigger than the Australian AFL and NRL league in terms of media rights and participation and audience in any way, shape, or form, right? So you have this tiered system that's already there. Why wouldn't you make the most of it? And they're very open to working with Aussies. They love Aussies, right? It's about understanding how to establish those relationships, because you're scratching their back and they're scratching yours, because they need your market too, right? So it all ties in, but it's about putting the different pieces together and going there and making sure that this stuff does actually happen.
I agree. And just to digress for a moment, to go back to the original discussion point, if Seidner and Pimco and his other group of US billionaires are to make a serious play and put in an attractive offer for the GWS Giants, what's it worth?
An AFL team like the Giants?
Well, not like the Giants, the Giants.
Yeah, like the Giants, I'd say about 40, 50 mil.
Well, okay, by comparison, what's Collingwood worth?
Collingwood's a different ballgame altogether.
Yeah, but what are they worth? 100?
No, more.
300?
I reckon 250 to 300 mil.
Yeah, but so based on your estimates, if the Giants are conservatively worth $50 million, why wouldn't the AFL take that money and then reinvest 75% of that back into the game and or the US market?
I agree. In my opinion, any AFL, the starting base should be around the $40 to $50 million mark. Minimum.
Yeah, but the AFL isn't investing enough back into its game. It just seems to accumulate all of this wealth without reinvesting.
Non-profit.
So we talk about
non-profit.
Exactly, which is, in legal terms, it's a charity. The other point being, in regards to the AFL and its investment, and I know we're off topic, but has withdrawn its services from the 2023 AFL Grand Final pre-game and halftime entertainment.
I've seen that actually, yeah.
Now, as good as Spouted House is, how can we go from Robbie Williams, who is one of the greatest entertainers on the planet, back to a New Zealand-based Australian band called Crowded House? Now, I'm not taking anything away from the Finn brothers and the other band members, but surely we're at a stage now where we're potentially looking at a night grand final, and we've just had Robbie Williams. Surely we've got to go to an international act, be it Springsteen or I don't know. I mean, I know we had Sting a few years ago, or get Beyonce or Eminem. But
Saving the pennies, mate. They're saving the pennies for a rainy day.
Yeah, but that's rubbish. I mean, because this is a world sport now, and people compare Australia's entertainment to the rest of the world. The whole world stops for 4 hours on Super Bowl Monday, Super Bowl Sunday, and the investment in the acts that they show have so much benefit to not only the broadcast, but the singers and the local community. And it's also a political statement with so many underlying things, agendas.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, more investment has to go into the game's expansion overseas and even locally, especially these events. They have to really be events,
Of course.
huge events. They have to be international events. Get out of this local mindset, start thinking international, and start working that way.
Yeah.
So, but I think we have to keep going because we're very tight for time today.
Just one quick one.
Yep.
One more quick. Do you think Kiss could be a good fill-in for Crowded House?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
That's settled.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. Once again, it's an absolute pleasure. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you all next week.